know how to read that.
Hey, Matt.
I just figured, let's say I don't like him.
Oh, thank you.
Let's say I don't like him. Can I call him?
They're now live streaming, and if someone could do me a big favor and just close that door because it blocks the camera. Thank you very much.
It was just, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Please stand for the pledge of the flag.
Pledge allegiance.
Thank you and welcome to the September meeting of the Town of Lancaster Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight we have 10 matters to address. So I'm just going to read the addresses to you in the order of appearance. So if there is a case that you have an interest in and need to leave the room for a minute, you'll know when to expect your case to come up. So we're first going to address 291 Erie Street. Number 2 is 19 Haskell. Number 3 is 1 Hickory Lane. Number 4 is 422 Westwood Road. Sorry. Case number 5 is 0 Maple Drive, Bowmansville. The 6th one is 5321 Genesee Street, also Bowmansville. Number 7, 4781 Transit, Depew. Number 8, 19 Ellie Court, Lancaster. Number 9, 93 Michael's Walk. And the 10th one is 45 Lake Forest Parkway. And now I'll ask our town clerk, Ms. Terranova, to read the first case, please.
Should I take roll?
Oh, you should take roll, yes. Now I'm going to ask our town clerk, Ms. Terranova, to take the roll.
Mr. Hain. Here. Mr. Matthews.
Here.
Mr. Michaely.
Here.
Mr. Storr.
Here.
Mr. Tillman.
Here.
Mr. Zella.
Here.
Chairman Monticelli.
Here. Thank you. And if you would read the first case, please.
First case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Jeff Cusio, 5460 Broadway Street, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing a storage shed on premises owned by Arlene Jason at 291 Erie Street, Lancaster, New York, to wit. A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 16, subsection B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 140-square-foot shed as a primary structure. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 16, subsection B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires permitted structures and uses in the residential zoning district in which a shed cannot be a primary structure. The petitioner therefore requests a use variance allowing construction of a storage shed as a principal structure.
Thank you. And do we have a representative here from 291 Erie? Good evening. Will you,
Jeffrey Cuccio, the petitioner.
the address, please?
291 Erie Street,
Thank you.
Lancaster.
Okay, go ahead and tell us about your request.
So, background, my wife and I own an old home right in the village on Broadway, and we have kind of an awkward shaped yard, and it has a lot of well-established mature trees on it that kind of dictate potential uses, and we're looking for somewhere to function just as a backyard for us, with more sun, a little more open area, and the storage shed that we're proposing would simply be just to store the lawnmower and things to maintain that property. And down the line, once we get some area open on it, we want to plant some fruit trees and things like that. So, and then I do have a letter of support from the only neighbor there, and Ms. Stroka is her name. She was actually kind of excited to hear that there might be use for this property. I know it's been for sale for a while, and no one seems to be interested in building on it. So,
How long have you owned it?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How long have you owned the property?
We don't currently own it, so we've been under contract and with an exploratory period so that we could see through that we could potentially do this before closing.
Okay, is there anything else that you'd like to say about this?
I just want to reiterate, this isn't like a commercial venture. You know, this isn't somewhere where like a contractor's looking to put up a pole barn and park large equipment. This would be like anybody's backyard. Grass, some fruit trees and things. We have a fireplace at home, small amount of firewood maybe stored in the off-season, things like that.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the board, starting with Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
I'm sorry, Mr. We'll start with
No problem.
Mr. Hain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Okay.
Ditto.
Okay. All right, Mr. Michael Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you're using it as a backyard?
Essentially, it would be a backyard. The nature of our property has its use is limited because it goes off in a hill pretty close after the house. The entire backyard's very well shaded. It's kind of an awkward shape, so looking for just a little more room to throw a football and things like that, and it's really somewhere that we can grow some fruits and things for ourselves. And like I said, our yard is very well shaded with some large mature trees.
So you've been told, I understand by the town clerk or someone, that this is not an area variance, this is what's called a use variance?
Yes.
And that the criteria is different?
Yes.
Okay.
So I do have a run-through regarding that.
Okay. So one of the criteria is cannot realize a reasonable return substantial as shown by the competent financial evidence. This is a little different, I know, because you don't own the property. So I think we have to treat it, though, as if you are the owner. Can the property realize any reasonable return?
Right, and that's sort of, I think, why the variance is necessary. It effectively is a building lot on paper, in opinion, not so much in practice because of the weird shape of it.
Yeah.
And following necessary setbacks, and also the drainage culvert put across part of the deepest section of the property. I called the highway department to ask them about that, and they also informed me that that must be maintained. So I think that greatly limits somebody's potential to build a house there.
Right.
And the property's also been on Zillow since 2019, and the neighbor, Ms. Stroka, said that she had spoken to the current owner multiple times in the last 20 years about potentially purchasing it. And
And it backs up to the train tracks?
Yes.
Right? Matt, I have to maybe unfairly call on you. Do you have any opinion as far as with the taking into consideration setbacks? According to the survey, it looks like there's a ditch, and even in the area you can see there is a ditch going through there. Do you have any opinion as to whether or not this could be a buildable lot for a home?
It could be. We've had several inquiries about locations of side yards, rear yards, front yards. It's
Okay.
not ideal. It's not a normal, traditional building lot.
Right.
And don't ever feel as you're putting me on the spot. I'm here as a resource to this entire board from a zoning perspective. You know, just give you a little bit of history about the parcel. It was subdivided from the next door piece back in the day whenever it was created with the intention of something to be built.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have no more questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. And Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is actually for you again. I'm kind of unaware. Do you know, is there any setback requirements from a, from railroad, what the setback requirement is from a railroad?
No, there's only a 35-foot rear yard minimum
Okay.
distance.
So even as a primary structure, even if there was to be a house there, they could put it 35 feet from the edge of the property line? Okay. And how far, like, I'm looking at your proposed map. How far away do you plan on putting it from the property line? Where it has, it just says needs this dimension?
When I did that drawing, I did look up the setbacks for, I believe, accessory structures at the time, and I believe I also took into account primary structures. The location is absolutely flexible.
It's gonna be nowhere near that 35-foot limit from the,
From the rear line, certainly not.
Okay.
I think what I drew may effectively be a little close to the front line, but like I said, the plan is a prefabbed Amish shed anyhow, so if it's necessary to adjust the positioning, that's simple.
okay, I have no further questions this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Storr. Mr. Tillman
I have no questions at this time.
and Mr. Selak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question, just to reiterate. You're going to put it on compacted stone?
Yes.
Previous built shed is probably going to have skis on it, I'm assuming?
Yes,
So it can't be moved, it's not going to be permanent?
certainly.
No power to it?
Nope.
No gas, nothing, no utilities,
Nope.
nothing like that? So no further questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions at this point, so I'm going to open it up to the audience, and I forgot to say this earlier. Once the board is done with its questions, we will move on and allow the audience to speak. If anyone has any particular questions or comments about any of the cases tonight, we would ask you to come up to the podium and address the board with your concerns. That being said, does anyone have any comments on this particular case? Okay, there being none, do we have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Storr.
Whereas zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this usage variance for a single-family residence, or for a accessory structure, according to part C, is it still the same part, Dan?
Well, it's, yes.
It's the use for, would I be still referencing the same, part 617, C17?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sorry, I was looking at that, got it. Of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations, it is a type 2 action, therefore has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, and therefore is not subject to secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. Because building a home on this property would be very difficult in an undesirable location.
Thank you.
That the requested usage variance is not substantial. That the petitioner cannot realize a reasonable return substantial as shown by competent financial evidence. That the alleged hardship has not been self-created due to the fact of an oddly shaped lot. and this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant, and that within the intents and purposes of this ordinance, the usage relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief, and that no commercial enterprise other than those permitted by Chapter 400 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster shall be conducted on the premises.
Thank you. Motion, Mr. Storr, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Zelak. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Mikely.
No.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
No.
Mr. Zelak.
Yes.
Ms. Montessali.
No.
It passes.
And the vote passes. You are all set. You just need to contact the building department and go from there.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Put the baby on. Oh, we got
Yeah.
Guess I'll get some speed reading going.
You gonna start now?
Motion to waive
Okay, moving on to case number 2. Ms. Terranova, would you read the particulars, please?
Second case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Timothy Sullivan, 19 Haskell Drive, Lancaster, New York, for 2 variances for the purpose of providing a certificate of compliance for a floodplain development permit on premises owned by the petitioner at 19 Haskell Drive, Lancaster, New York, to wit. A variance from the requirements of Chapter 182, zoning section 5.2, subsection B3A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for vents designed to equalize hydrostatic flood forces on exterior walls not within 1 foot above adjacent finished grade. Chapter 182, zoning section 5.2, subsection B3A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires the bottom of all such openings no higher than 1 foot above the lowest adjacent finished grade. The petitioner therefore requests exceeding 12 inches above adjacent finished grade. B, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 182, zoning section 5.2, subsection C1 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for a heat pump air handler located below the base flood elevation. Chapter 182, zoning section 5.2, subsection C1 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires new and replacement electrical equipment, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, plumbing connections, and other service equipment shall be located at least 2 feet above the highest adjacent grade without an available base flood elevation, where permitted, or be designed to prevent water from entering and accumulating within the components during a flood, and to resist hydrostatic and hydrodynamic loads and stresses. Electrical wiring and outlets, switches, junction boxes, and panels shall be elevated or designed to prevent water from entering and accumulating within the components unless they conform to the appropriate provisions of the electrical part of the building code of the state of New York or the residential code of New York State for location of such items in wet locations. The petitioner therefore requests an 8-foot 4-inch variance.
Thank you. And do we have a representative for 19 Haskell?
Yes.
Good evening. Your name and address for the record, please?
Tim Sullivan and 19 Haskell.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead and tell us about your request.
So the first one with the flood vents, starting a few years ago, I moved into the house 8 years ago. It's on Haskell Drive near Genesee and Harris Hill, right along Ellicott Creek. The original home was built in 1925. It's very close to the creek. The property does flood occasionally in the winter when we get snow melts, but it's never gotten into the house. Starting a few years ago, I built an addition in the front of the property. At that time, I contracted with a company to do the foundation for me. They built the foundation, they put the flood vents in. Flood vent is essentially a hole in the foundation wall that in the instance of a flood will allow the water to flood into the basement to equalize the pressure so the walls, there's not too much pressure on the concrete walls. The problem arose that the contractor, when they put the flood vents in, unbeknownst to me, are slightly too high versus where they were in the drawings. What I ended up doing was putting a planter box around the bottom of the foundation anyway for aesthetic reasons. And if you were to count where the planter box is versus where the height of the flood vents is, you would be within the code. It's just, they're probably, instead of 1 foot from the ground, from where the lawn is, there may be 10 inches or a foot higher than that. Again, I didn't put them in there, the contractor did. They put the vents in where they did. But I would rather not move the vents because then I would have to cut additional holes, further weakening the wall, and then try to patch in the existing holes, and also remove the planter that's there with all of the soil and concrete that's already there. So that's the one. Should I continue to the next one, or should we do one at a time?
No, you can tell us
Okay.
about your next request.
Okay, so the next request is where the location of the air handler. So I have a heat pump instead of a furnace. The outside, there's a condenser with refrigerant lines that run inside. The air handler essentially is a big box with a heat exchanger and a fan. That's all it is. And all the ductwork connects to it. So the nature of the addition, because I had to marry the existing home to the new home, all of the ductwork could only go in one location, and it went into where the crawl space is and where it's been since 1925. So that's where the air handler is, where the return air comes in and then the heated air gets sent out. Also, if there ever was a flood, I've lived there 8 years and it's never gotten into the house. Like I said, if there ever was a flood and I needed to replace the air handler, I would. That would be on me. I have no problem doing that, but I don't see it really as an issue right now. I use it for storage. There's lots of items down there. There's 2 sub pumps that are down there to prevent flooding, and they run periodically when we get a lot of rain, but otherwise it's dry.
Okay.
Oh, and I also have Mr. Wigley. He's my neighbor here in support of
Okay.
my petition.
All right, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I'll turn it over to the board, and now we'll start with Mr. Matthews.
Okay, so both these systems are already in place?
Yes.
Both, okay. And I got my questions for Matt. Is the intent of the code here to protect from damage from flooding?
Damage to the building from flooding, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Mr. Michaeli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So these vents are in a crawl space.
Yes.
There's nothing, so what I'm looking at is if it does flood, that's on you.
Right.
But I look at it as what else do you have down there that would then flood out? Do you keep anything down there?
I do keep things down there. There's no exterior access though, so there's no way for things to come out, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, just normal. I consider it a short basement, basically. It's probably about 5'8" down there.
Okay.
Height. Yeah.
All right. No more questions right now.
Okay, we can come back. Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt, with everything that he had to do for the addition, did the building plans have these vents drawn wrong, or how did it get to this point where the contractors
The project was permitted, compliant with all the standards, both our local and FEMA standards, based on the floodplain elevation. And after identifying the value of the improvement, a letter of determination was provided, which retroactively made the existing structure become compliant by installing additional vents at the standard that's laid out through the local law adopted through the FEMA regulation.
And it's at that point that they were not,
They were not installed the way it was permitted, and we can't close the permit out. The way that
Until-
they're installed, they have to be corrected.
or a variance. Are there other flood vents on the home in the previously existing foundation?
They were retroactively installed.
And are those compliant
Those are
or,
proper, but again, the flood vent engineering is based on the entire square footage of all floors below the base flood elevation to equalize the pressure.
okay. And this is on the front of your home?
The addition is in the front of, I attached an addition to the front of the original home. But if you were to look at the entire property, there's 4 vents in the addition, and then there's 5 additional vents that I had to put into the original home.
Okay.
So there's a total of 9 vents in the house now.
So, Matt, I've never seen this before, so apologize if this is a dumb question. My understanding is if this creek floods, it's going to start at the rear of his home where the
It's the
compliant,
foundation of that building.
and it will start at the rear of his home no?
It will start where it goes, it will damage the foundation of the building because the pressure is not equalized as it was originally designed and specified.
Okay. And now, regarding the second one with the heat pump, this being below the base flood elevation, how would that get wrecked? How could, other than putting a bunch of things to raise it up higher?
It would be water damage, and as I originally stated, it was permitted to be 2 feet above the base flood elevation. It was a location on the first floor, top of the mudroom where all the mechanicals needed to go.
Okay.
And that was provided to us by the design professional.
Okay, I get that. My question is, how would you rectify that?
Relocate the heat pump.
Just pull it out and,
Relocate it and put it 2 feet above the base flood elevation.
And in order to do that, I would have to tear apart the entire interior of the house to relocate all the ductwork.
that's kind of what I'm asking. There's no easy, cost-effective way to fix that?
At the time of construction, it would have been.
Okay.
I hate to go this route, but, it hasn't flooded, but it will flood. And when it does flood, this building will be damaged.
I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stark. Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Keith asked a bunch of questions I had, so I'm good.
Okay, all right, thanks. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you.
That's another question.
At this end, please.
I'm sorry, did you not go yet? I'm sorry if you said it already, but when was this work done?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry if you said it already, but when was this work done?
Over the last couple of years. Yeah.
So at what point did you realize, so was your contractor, contractor applied, got his permits correctly, and then did it incorrectly?
It was at the final inspection. So there was a series, Matt can tell me how many there are, I forgot. But you get a footer inspection, you get a foundation inspection after it's poured, then you get your framing inspection, you do electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all those inspections were all done, and then it wasn't until the final inspection that I was told it was done incorrectly.
So have you ever gone back to the contractor?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting, Mike.
No,
you're-
it's fine. Mr. Hank?
So John really alluded to it too, so basically we filed plans, got a permit, and then the installation didn't meet the way the job was permitted and planned. That is a very sticky situation. I feel for you, but this is a tough one. I have no more questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hank.
I have another one.
Mr. Stark?
And Matt, looking back at the first variance, this would require getting that massive saw that I've seen out and cutting holes in the foundation, there's no other way to put vents in?
Well, there's holes in the foundation now.
Yeah, 2 feet high when they should be 1 foot high.
Right.
They would need,
Lowering the sill plate of that vent system will not damage or weaken the foundation.
okay, thank you.
You would need to cut new holes in the concrete, yeah.
And you would saw cut the holes and insert the different sized flood vent.
Okay.
Madam Chair. So I know you mentioned you really haven't gone to the contrary yard. I mean, after this job was done, I mean, there was no conversation with the contractor to say, why did you relocate the heat pump and do all these things at this point? Like, that conversation hasn't been had yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
And it also, I mean, it wasn't brought to my attention until maybe my 7th inspection.
Yeah.
So if I had known earlier, I probably would have said something.
Well, if it pleases the board, and I don't mean to sound adversarial, but the homeowner is the general contractor of the project. And
Yes.
we inspect the phases of constructions as it's listed on the building permit, based on the integrity of the concrete, the reinforcement, the placement of the vents is not going to be determined until after grading is complete and where they were, these are retroactively cut throughout the process. I can tell you there were 3 individual building inspectors assigned to this project. The original inspector that did the foundation wall is no longer with the town. Rightfully so.
And you're right, I am the contractor. I didn't do the concrete work though, but I did most of the other work. Yeah.
Anyone else on the board have further comments or questions? All right, and your neighbor, Mr. Sullivan, would you like to say anything?
I'm Dr. Charles Wigley. I just want to say Tim has invested a great deal of money to improve this property over its original value. And I just wanted to comment on that because actually the building is magnificent that he has built, adding on to that original house. So I'd like to offer some support for him because he's not told me, but I know he has a great deal invested. And my house is the immediate house west of his.
And what address is this?
25 Haskell Drive.
Thank you.
So there's his house, 25 Haskell, and then it's a small forest owned by the Catholic Church, which leads to the cemetery. So with the water coming downstream in a westward flow, which is what it is, after it passes Tim's house, it passes my house and then goes past down the trees and so forth. So in the case of any flooding, it's all in that direction, basically. I've had my house since April, I believe, of 1989, and I've never had water come in the house. My house does not have a basement. I've never had water on the first floor. But my house is closer to Haskell Drive, and it is an elevated house to protect against the Ellicott Creek.
And you're at 15, sir?
25.
Thank you.
25 Haskell Drive. So I just offer that as maybe a little bit of insight, although I know the floodplain is different. My house is not in the floodplain, being further up on the, at least according to a surveyor I talked to. But considering the overall massive investment of the homeowner, I wanted to support his position for this because he's greatly improved that lot and the neighborhood.
Thank you, we
Thanks
appreciate
for
your input.
listening.
Sir, your last name again?
WIGLEY.
Thank you.
If you put an R in there, I could buy a lot of
All right, is there anyone else in the audience with comments or questions about this variance request? Okay, there being none, the board will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Storr, thank you.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that a detriment to this property would be created by the granting of this area variance, I make a motion for denial because I believe that this could cause potentially unsafe residents to exist in the case of flooding or unnecessary risk. I apologize, sir. I feel for you. I just want you to know that I feel for you right now on this one. Yeah, that's the motion. I make a motion to deny.
Second?
And the second was?
Mr. Michaely? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
These are motions to deny.
Okay.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillman.
Yes.
Mr. Zala.
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli.
Yes. Okay, your variance requests are denied.
Okay.
Mr. Storr probably spoke for all of us. We feel your pain, but Mr. Hain also, this was a tough one.
Okay.
I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. I understand what the issue is. I just wanted to get you to see my perspective as a neighbor, so.
You clearly improved the property. Looks beautiful.
Yeah, and we do certainly appreciate neighbor input.
So what is my next step?
You can talk with Matt.
The recommendation is to talk to your design professional and your civil engineer to relocate the mechanical systems to meet the standards and then install larger vents so that they're within 12 inches. You want to use larger vents or just larger, taller vents? Okay, relocate the existing ones. They would have to go over them down to the grade. Original grade.
Where is the grade?
The entire house. No, I'd recommend getting a design professional involved with a mechanical contractor to relocate the system that's below the basement. The ductwork would be down there, it's the mechanical portion of it that shouldn't be down there.
All right, the next matter before the board is a petition for a variance at 1 Hickory Lane. Do we have somebody representing that property?
Should we read the legal notice?
Yeah.
Legal notice.
Legal notice?
Legal notice.
No, she's gonna read it.
Okay, Ms. Terranova, I apologize for getting things out of order, but please read the notice for us.
The third case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Trevor and Laura Sokolowski, 1 Hickory Lane, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of installing a hot tub on premises owned by the petitioners at 1 Hickory Lane, Lancaster, New York, to wit, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection E, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a hot tub 1 foot from the rear of a primary structure. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires an accessory structure to be a minimum location of 10 feet from another structure. The petitioner is therefore requesting a variance.
Thank you. Good evening. Would you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Trevor Sokolowski, 1 Hickory Lane.
Mr. Sokolowski, tell us about your request.
So we just bought a hot tub from Pool Mart, and really it's just a convenience, privacy thing, just so we're tucked away and our neighbors won't see us in the hot tub, as opposed to 10 feet out and they can see us. And that's really, it's just for convenience, aesthetics, and privacy.
Okay. All right, then we'll turn it over to the board. Mr. Michaely?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Storr. And Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions as well.
Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have one or two questions. Is there anything above, next to where the hot tub's going to be going?
No, we just poured a patio, yeah, no covering or anything like that. It's, yeah, just wide open air.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience have anything they'd like to address with the board regarding this request? There being none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry. Mr. Hain.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence according to Part 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations is a Type 2 action has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore is not subject to a secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought. that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the variance relief sought. However, that the granting of the variance relief is not substantial, that the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purpose of the ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Hain. Do we have a second? Second, Mr. Zelak. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Mikely.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Zalak.
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli.
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Sokolowski. Your variance has been granted. Just follow up with the building department.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, the next matter is the property request at 422 Westwood. Ms. Terranova, would you read the case, please?
The fourth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Ronald and Diane Kozlowski, 422 Westwood Road, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of installing a ground-mounted PV solar system on premises owned by the petitioners at 422 Westwood Road. A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 Zoning Section 56, subsection B2 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a ground-mounted PV solar system. Chapter 400 Zoning Section 56, subsection B2 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires ground-mounted and freestanding solar collectors not be permitted in residential districts. The petitioners therefore request a use variance for permitting the installation of a ground-mounted PV solar system in an agricultural residential district.
Thank you. Hello, folks. Come on up.
Good evening. So Diana and
Just-
Ron Kozlowski, and we reside at 422 Westwood Road, Lancaster.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan is here with us also. He's from Solar Liberty, who we've contracted with for the solar system. And so he's passing out, just to kind of give you a orientation of the property. It's a Google Earth map. It's the large 11 by 17, just to kind of get the sense of the solar arrays that we are proposing to be ground-mounted will be approximately 500 feet from the road, from Westwood Road. And we also, as you can see, our western neighbor is the NYSEG electric utility corridor. There's H-frame poles that lie on that corridor. Also, Next Era Energy constructed, I believe it was about 2 years ago, monopoles that are about 130 feet tall. And then on the eastern property, we do have some residences, but there's also a large active farm that is operating at the corner of Westwood and Town Line, and they also abut our property. Given the distance from the road and the adjacent areas, we, as you can see from that photograph, there's a great deal of visual buffer. There's a lot of native trees and shrubs, both on our properties, on the utility corridor, and on adjacent properties, such that these will not be visible to anyone. We have a large vegetable garden in the back, and even our neighbors have commented, and when I told her that I was going to pick strawberries, she said, "Where do you have strawberries?" And I said, "In the garden in the back," and she didn't even realize that we had that garden back there because it is so heavily vegetated along the perimeter. So with the materials that we provided in the original application, we also supplemented those this evening So Ms. Terranova passed those out to address the additional items for the use variance. So the one thing that we wanted to address, but should I go on, or do you have any questions in regards to kind of the situation of and the location of the arrays?
I think we're okay for now, so please continue.
Okay, so I'm just going to kind of give an overview, and then Ron's going to talk a little bit more to the details of the financial hardship. We did do a financial analysis, and Solar Liberty assisted with some of the information, which is the other drawing that kind of shows about the energy inefficiency if we were to put the panels on the roof. And that's as a result of the orientation and roof lines that we have on our home. We also have some large evergreen trees that in the morning and evening do provide some additional shade such that the efficiency is reduced for the roof. Also with the ground mount, or let me stay with the roof mount, our roof now is 16 years old. So general life expectancy of a roof is maybe in the 25 to 30 year range. If we put the panels on the roof, at some point, probably 10 to 15 years from now, we're going to have those removed, subsequently reinstalled. Potentially, they would have to be stored depending upon how quickly we could get a contractor in to do the roof repairs, because they would also, before they put a new roof on, have to do some repairs where the panels were installed on the roof. So there could be some additional costs there. And that starts at around $200 to $300 a panel. We have 22 panels that are required for 100% efficiency with the ground mount. And so that's kind of a low cost. If there's storage, it could go up with some of the information that we've researched to as much as $500 per panel. So the cost just for that action alone could be pretty significant. And then I'll let Ron talk a little bit more to the some additional costs associated with roof mount versus ground mount.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And with that comes the added liability of having those put on the structure. So when we're doing the ground mount, it's away from everybody. The way that our roof is situated right now, if we were to do that, we're adding liability where the snow, when it casts on that, has that danger effect of just falling on anybody at any time. And with the heavy winters that we have experienced in recent years, we have had quite a bit of snow that piles up on our current roof line. So it adds a liability factor that adds to cost that we would have to cover with insurance. That panel removal, you're looking at a minimum of $200 to $300, and you'll see that in financials. That's an extra $6,600 alone. Up front, that ground mount is $3,000 more than had we gone with something on the roof. The roof is only going to give us 70% efficiency, so we're not going to get to where we want to go, to where we're making this investment. When we do the ground mount, we can get enough panels in there to do that 100%. So when you end up going through that entire financial burden and the cost to replace a roof 10 years down the road, store those panels, we're looking at any place just at a minimum from $6,600 up to $30,000 of additional financial hardship that we would take into effect. And again, right now, there is no visual impact with the shrub line and butting up next to NISEC. So that kind of lays out our story for right now. I'm standing by for questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir, did you want to add anything? Okay.
I just want to add that Ron and Diane have invested a lot of time and effort into providing this information. They've done their due diligence and understand what they're requesting.
Okay.
And Mr. Jonathan, your last name?
Martinez.
Thank you.
Okay, stand by. We may need to talk with you as well. Anything else, folks?
I guess maybe I'd just like to kind of finish is that, in regards to the question about being self-created. So we feel that, this variance arises due to kind of unique circumstances of the construction of our home and the roof in particular. We're trying to seek, the most cost-effective, most energy-efficient, and safest placement for the solar panels, which we believe is the ground mount. It's the life expectancy of the panels, the orientation and shading of the roof, and safety concerns that really have driven us to the ground mounted. And it's these limitations that really, based on the home and the property and not really our personal preference. I actually really, when we were first looking at this, was not really thrilled about doing the ground mount because we have gardens and things, and I just didn't know if I wanted to put that, if I wanted to put more gardens there. So, but it just makes really, financial sense to us. The safety factor is genuinely a concern. We have our front walkway, we have our driveway, park our cars there, people come in and walk into the back, so, even in the wintertime, and the snow can sheet off of these. The pitch on our one roof is also very steep, so we could experience property damage as well, pulling out a gutter onto our landscaping. So, we're hoping that we can answer any questions that you may have, and we also feel that, this is a green energy, and it's consistent with the town's environmental goals as a climate-smart community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Let's start with you, Mr. Storr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have none at this time.
Okay. Do you have, yeah, this one. Thank you. Okay, moving along, Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any questions right now? No.
Thank you, Mr. Tillmans. Mr. Zelat?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few questions. Just the height off the ground will be 3 feet, 3 to 4 feet. Is that correct? You got.
That's correct.
44 and a half there and 3 foot there. It's in a clear cut area. They're not taking out any more shrubs or anything like that. It's all mowed and
Correct, yeah.
kept.
Yeah, I have some ground level photographs.
I did see. I'm just
Okay.
reconfirming that. That's where it's
Sure,
from.
thank you.
And what is the primary reason for the solar panels? Is this solely for your house?
Oh, yeah, that's just for the house. So that's when Solar Liberty comes in and does an assessment of your energy use. And so that's how they determine how many panels that we need. So 22 is going to get us to that, 98%.
Efficiency, yeah.
Right. And so, electric prices are going up, and so, we're looking at one, I'm an environmental biologist by trade, so, I have a lot of interest in trying to utilize green energy and things that are sustainable and make sense for the environment, and also for cost cutting. It's, we're kind of looking towards the future and save on costs in the future.
Okay, thank you. I have no more questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zelat. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hain. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions. Is it through?
Mr. Michaely?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have some questions and comments. Great presentation, by the way. I love the fact that you're trying to do this. I think that, looking at it, it appears as if, okay, your spot back there may have no impact on anyone else, and it's not visually seen by anyone, and I think that with solar panels, the issue is not so much being seen, of anyone seeing them, but there's also a glare or glint, I think it's glare issue, that you don't want to have that impact neighboring properties, whether it's the farmer or somebody else. Matt, our code right now says that I'm looking for it right now to see the exact wording, and it says that there's, in residential properties, residential zoning, no ground-mounted solar panels, solar. So, in our town, we have agricultural, residential. Farms are agricultural, or mostly, probably all AR. That means as of the way the code stands right now, we can never have a solar farm. If there's a farmer somewhere who wants to sell out to or lease their property to a solar farm, they wouldn't be able to.
Well, that'd be considered a major system. These are minor systems.
Okay.
They have a little more stringent review process.
Okay.
They have a preferential hierarchy hierarchy of zoning districts that the state is doing.
Okay. I think that, and like, as I said, you did a great job with your presentation. As you are aware, this is a use variance, and you're very aware of the criteria because you did a good job answering them. First criteria is cannot realize a reasonable return substantial as shown by competent financial evidence. You've shown how it wouldn't be economically effective, good for you. You've shown how it would cost you more the other way. Putting it on the roof would cost you more. It wouldn't be economically attractive for you, and I get it. But I don't think that fulfills the cannot realize a reasonable return criteria. That's just how I see it. And a question for you, I'm sorry, from the solar company, have you done, Lancaster can't be the only town that has this restriction. Have you done?
I just actually had one in the town of Hamburg with a very similar situation, presenting a ground mount to a zoning board for variance. It's actually been provided. That job's going to be installed here within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so they have the same code that didn't allow it yet?
Quite similar, yes.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mickley. I also have questions for you. Mr. Martinez, is it correct?
Yes.
Okay. How often do you see this situation with the roof panels? That I had the same situation myself. I had an estimate done for roof panels years ago, and because of the trees surrounding my property, it would not have been efficient. It would have been efficient to put them on my garage, but only if I got a new garage roof. So once I got a new garage roof, I couldn't afford the panels. So I can sympathize with your situation about the effectiveness. But does this seem to be a common problem? Or are most people okay with going with the roof panels?
Most people don't have the land use available, so they will not go with the solar just because it's not cost efficient. Not every home is a solar home. That's why we do so many different surveys and assessments prior to moving forward with the permitting and contracting.
Okay. And the concern about the panels, the solar panels on the roof causing a sliding off of sheets of ice or sheets of snow, is that more likely with solar panels than it is with say, an asphalt roof?
Yes, it's more common with the solar panels. Once the snow starts to warm up, it will begin to melt and accumulate towards the bottom. If there's gutters or any lip that is available, the snow begins to pile up and it becomes very heavy, and then it has the tendency to fall. There are different devices and we can install on the roof and the panel, but it comes at a cost. So.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question for Matt.
Mr. Starr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt, sorry for me not knowing this, would this solar panel project be approved without variance if it was in a general industrial zoning area?
Of course.
Okay. Now, if I'm looking at the zoning board map, their property backs up to a general industrial zoned area.
You're correct. I mean, to the north of the high-power electrical lines, I believe it is general industrial with
I'm just trying to get Google Maps to sit nicely on top of the zoning map for how far back their property goes. Would you be able to tell me, does the back of their property actually border that general industry zoned area?
We're just shy of the Heritage Trail. So the Heritage Trail, which is the old railroad bed,
Yeah.
that's now the trail. So our property comes just shy of that.
Okay.
So the utility corridor continues.
And that trail is
Yeah.
where is the, okay. Thank you, that helped me out a lot.
Sure.
That trail is actually where the border is between the general industrial, and the ag reg, or, yeah, ag residential. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Pending Matt's answer, I'm pretty sure I'm all
And
set.
general industrial to the north of the trail.
Yes, it appears so. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? You know, this is not an easy thing to do, to prove a use variance, but I think you folks have done an exceptional job, and I do think that you're showing enough of hardship when it comes to what it would cost you if we don't grant this variance. I'm looking at the other requirements, besides not realizing a reasonable return. Sorry, it's hard to read. This is much different, I think. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thanks. The alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. I can't say that this is unique, because that means it couldn't happen to anybody else. But I think it is unusual that you have a situation where you can't put them on, you can put them on the roof, but it's more advantageous to put them on the ground. I agree with you that it won't alter the essential character of the neighborhood, and I don't believe this is self-created. So that's my 2 cents. Anything else from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mr. Hagan, please.
If this is going to be installed in the back where that shrubbery is, it's only going to be 3 feet off the ground. How much land clearing and brush and area are you going to be taking down?
None.
None.
No.
None. But putting the solar panels on the roof provided almost as much generation throughout the course of the year as the ground-mounted system, and it's going to be, no?
It only provides 70% of their efficiency
On the roof.
on the roof.
Right.
Yeah.
There's large Christmas trees that are that shaded. Oh,
They're shading the roof, but they won't shade the solar array.
We don't have the Christmas trees in the back.
Right. Yeah, the trees
And
are,
they're in a wide 100-foot wide area that
Matt, solar arrays, when installed commercial size, larger size, come with certain code requirements of buffer fencing and whatnot. Do we have anything written for a system of this size in this area?
No, because it is classified as a minor system. It is servicing a residence as opposed to providing power to a grid system.
if I could, I'll show you this is the actual location of where we're going to be. So this clear area, which is, so our gardens are in front,
Mhm.
and then this area that's already clear is going to be where those units are.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from the board at this time? Okay, anyone in the audience have any questions about this request or any comments? Okay, there being none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Storr, thank you.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this usage variance for a single-family residence according to part 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations is a type 2 action, has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore is not subject to a seeker review, that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance that we sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance we've sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue, but it would come at a substantial cost.
Thank you.
that the requested variance is not substantial, that the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the petitioners cannot realize a reasonable return substantial as shown by their competent financial evidence, that the alleged hardship has not been self-created.
Excuse me, just 1 second.
Sorry.
Okay.
That the alleged hardship has not been self-created. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you already said
I already said that. Never mind, ignore that one. And this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or district or community by such grant, and that within the intents and purposes of this ordinance, the usage variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief.
Okay, so if you want this, you said both. You said it was self-created.
When you pointed this, I was like, I believe it is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the variance relief sought.
It has to not be self-created. You know what I mean? For a use variance, it's
okay,
different.
then I believe it's not self-created.
Yeah, it's different.
Okay, it's not self-created.
Different for a use than from an area. Okay.
Got it.
Do we have a second? I'll second. And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
No.
Mr. Matthews.
No.
Mr. Michaely.
No.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
No.
Mr. Zelik.
Yes.
Ms. Monticelli.
Yes.
Denied.
I'm sorry. The board has denied your request. Thank you.
Right.
The next matter before the board is the request for 0 Maple Drive. Ms. Turnover, would you read the particulars, please?
Fifth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Indus Hospitality Group, Inc., 950 Panorama Trail South, Rochester, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing a 4-story hotel on premises owned by Stephen Development, LLC, at 0 Maple Drive, Lancaster, New York, to wit, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 18, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 4-story hotel on a portion of the parcel. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 18, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum building height of 35 feet. The petitioners therefore request a variance of 13 feet.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good
Would you
evening.
give us your name and address, please?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chairman. My name is Jerry Goldman. I'm the attorney and agent for Indus Hospitality Group. With me this evening on the application are Rebecca Spur, front row, from BME Associates, project engineer, as well as John Ott, development director for Indus, and Daryl Martin, who is the project architect. We're here this evening for an area variance, a use variance, an area variance to allow a 48-foot high structure on this piece of property. The property itself is zoned general commercial, and it is a permitted use. This is a process that's been ongoing for quite a while with the town. You'll note from the application that we actually filed the zoning board application December of last year. We filed the planning board application in November, and we've been working with the planning board substantially relative to the site itself. In general terms, before we get into the granular details, one of the reasons why we're seeking the height variance is to minimize the amount of disturbance on the property. In order to meet the criteria that we have to meet of providing 122 rooms on the 2.5-acre site, we could spread it out conceivably more, but that would create a fair amount of disturbance on this property. And given its location, we are seeking this variance. I'm sure you must all be familiar with the property, but I'll just explain where it is. It's on the stretch of Maple near Transit. We're immediately adjacent to the Red Roof Inn. We're in the essentially parallel to the thruway section of Maple before it bends down. There are only 2 houses which are close to us, and I believe the owner of that property is here this evening to speak on the application as well. So our objective is to try to minimize the disturbance, and as a part of that, we've gone through the full planning board process to this point, including an environmental review. A full environmental assessment form was provided. The planning board made a recommendation to the town board, and the town board adopted a negative declaration on a coordinated review for this overall site, so this board doesn't have to deal with seeker. But at the same time, there was an analysis of visual impacts, and there were discussions of visual impacts at the planning board. Our site is surrounded on the south as you go more toward the residential areas well beyond us by a woodlot and a lot of trees. We also had trees adjacent to us. We're open to the thruway, but then again, that is the thruway. And that provides a lot of ambient noise. Actually, the building will help buffer some of that noise. The consideration before the board tonight is a weighing, as you've said with all your applications, a weighing of the benefit to the applicant as opposed to detriment to health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. We would submit that there's substantial benefit to be able to construct this building in this manner and preserve as much green space as we possibly can. And at the same time, because of its location, the fact that it is in the general commercial district and is buffered from residences, we believe that there really is no detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. We have 5 considerations, as the board has iterated on a lot of your other applications. The first is whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties by the granting of the area variance. Again, we submit that the character of the neighborhood is commercial. It is zoned commercial. The variance itself will not change the character of the neighborhood itself. In addition, we'd like to point out that we did a little bit of looking at other hotels, and we have a fair amount of hotels, as you know, in this stretch along Transit Road and along this corridor. And a number of variances have been granted for this from the 35-foot provision. The True by Hilton is 57 feet 4 inches in height. We're talking about roughly 48 feet. The Russell's has a 35-foot variance for a 60-foot height. Actually, I think the building may extend above that, but nonetheless, there are also other variances that have been granted by the board, and consistency is an important factor to be dealt with when you're dealing with these types of area variances. The second standard is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. Again, we submit that in the balancing test of this, we don't have to prove all of these beyond any doubt that there is that the spreading out of this is not really going to create any sort of desirable or feasible to pursue design. Third standard is whether the requested area variance is substantial. There's a recent case which has come down, and it's not a pure mathematical consideration. It is to be taken in context and substantiality. Given the fact that we are surrounded by trees along our neighboring areas, we don't consider this area variance to be substantial. Fourth standard is whether the variance will have an impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And again, we do not see any impact on those physical or environmental conditions as a result of the height variance. And the last standard is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but not necessarily preclude it. Again, we believe that there's an element of self-creation in pretty much every area variance that comes before this board, so I'm not going to be disingenuous and say, no, there is no self-creation here. This is a design that we want, but we think it is a design which has been analyzed and supported by the negative declaration by the planning board on this. If we are successful with the variance this evening, we will be going back to the planning board maybe as early as next week, and then finally back to the town board for final site plan and subdivision approval. So with that, I know there are like 5 applications behind us. I don't necessarily want to make people wait all night. Is there anything you want to add at this point? Darryl? Okay, so we're all available to answer any questions that the board may have. Thank you for your attention.
Well, we're all grateful to you for wrapping this up. Okay, I just wanted to ask you about this 122 rooms, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's the minimum required by the company that owns the...
Correct. Wood Spring Hotels in their design is a 122 room minimum.
All right. So you're going with 122, whether you get the variance or not. It's just a question of whether you're going to be more
Spreading out. We'll be going back into some massive redesign to try to figure that out and figure out how to get there.
Okay. Moving along, Mr. Tillmans, you want to start us off, please?
Sure. Maybe just some questions, so I know obviously there's a couple of residential properties next door.
Yes.
To the east.
That property owner is here this evening, I believe.
Yeah, about how close to the property or the building are those, and what sort of, I guess, if there would be any buffer?
There is
any of those trees still would stay there?
There is actually a buffer. We are buying a 2.5 acre parcel of property, splitting it off from the remainder, and there are trees on that property existing right now which are going to remain as a part of this. So there will be a buffer in that area. 200 feet? 200 feet is the number.
What's that?
200 feet is the number, how far we are away.
All right. I think I have no questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Tillmans. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Mr. Michaeli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You mentioned visual impact. Has anyone done a study to show how high, what are you looking to go, 40, 48 feet? Sometimes they do it with balloons to show how high, to show how far away it's visible from. Has that been done?
That has not been done to this point. It has not been done as a part of this. We thought that the screening of the trees in its location in the general commercial district would be sufficient. If the planning board really wanted to do that as part of their seeker or visual, they would have asked us, because we've been there pretty much all summer.
I know that but they're not the ones who are deciding.
Correct, and I understand that, and I understand that.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Michaeli. So, After tonight,
Mm-hmm.
you go back to the planning board?
We go back to the planning board. We've gone through extensive site plan review, but the steps that are required is to get the seeker negative declaration or get the environmental completed, which was done, planning board recommending to the town board. Then it comes here, then it goes back for final site plan approval to the planning board at the next meeting.
Okay, and then from there, back to the town?
Back to the town board,
Okay.
correct.
And you do have a negative declaration?
We do have a negative declaration, we have a full negative declaration. As a matter of fact, the planning board recommendation on this goes through each of the lines in the part 2 of the environmental assessment. So that was, it wasn't one of these, okay, fine, we looked at it, we're okay with it. They actually did a line-by-line analysis. The board actually voted on each of the criteria, the environmental criteria.
Okay. All right, thank you. We all good on the board for now? Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt, I don't have the numbers memorized that he just said, but is that accurate regarding the variances applied for with True by the Russells and Regal, that all those buildings are above the 45 or 35
I
foot?
don't have those numbers available, but I do know there are variances.
Can I speak a second? I did Russell's, but I had to go for variance twice. For the 4th floor and then for the 5th floor, we got that.
They're all 4 floors, you know.
Yeah, and at the same time, we also took a look and we didn't find any variances which have been denied for height. So it's been a pretty consistent run.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that's all I got.
Okay, Mr. Storr. Anybody else?
I would just make the comment, though, it is true that the other side of the thruway, north of the thruway,
Yeah.
every one of those hotels pretty much is 4 floors. I think it's completely different district, though. It is, you're right in saying that it's a transit road corridor, and the transit road corridor goes back as deep eastward on both sides of the thruway. But there's a little more of an impact here. That area's already been developed and doesn't necessarily impact residents as much.
There's one more that I think that Rebecca can speak to.
I have the zoning map kind of with all the hotels that
Yeah.
received the variances. So the Delavan Hotel actually received a 25-foot height variance, and that's south of the thruway. Same zoning district, and actually they're a little bit closer to the residential community to the east than we are in Maple Drive. I apologize, I can't read the name of that road, but, so they're a 60-foot height.
The Delavan opens up, but it actually opens up to the residential neighborhood, so that one doesn't have the degree of buffering that we have.
But it still is different because this has that street is called Wainwright or something like that. To get to that street, you don't pass through those properties. To get to this property, everyone does pass by it. But just an observation that I think it is kind of apples and oranges, but
yeah,
maybe apples and pears.
It's apple season, right?
Yeah. That's why. Where were we?
Sorry, I was not expecting that.
I'm gonna use that.
Okay, I will open it up to the audience with the reminder that we are here tonight only for a height variance. It looks like this project is going to go through at some point. If we don't grant the height variance, the intention that I'm hearing from Mr. Goldman is that they will, and according to the paperwork, they will build the hotel 3 stories or 35 feet, but it will just be larger, which means it loses more green space and takes up a larger footprint. So anyone wishing to address the board, please keep that in mind. That being noted, we welcome your input.
Yep.
You mentioned a neighbor.
Yeah, he's a bit shy. Here,
Don't be shy.
Madam Chair. Yeah, on behalf of the property owner for 130, 132 Maple Drive, we're the only residents that is, I would say, conceivably could be directly impacted by this sightline issue.
And, I'm sorry, your name?
Paul Stephen Jr. We have no problem with it. We think that the buffer that they have included is both generous and substantial, and that it will shield our property from any of these potential sightline issues, and we fully understand, looking at the broader picture, that this is within the transit road corridor, and we think it's great for the town of Lancaster to add to the tax base and everything like that. But yes, as the only house that could conceivably be directly impacted by this variance, we have no issue with it. And we certainly think that the idea of having more green space around the hotel is preferable than having it be lower and wider, I would say. So that's all I have to say.
And your address is 130 and 132 Maple?
Yeah, I believe that both parcels are there, but 130 Maple, yeah.
Okay. All right. And so there isn't somebody else living at 132?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience have any comments or questions? All right. There being none, do we have a motion?
I just have one more question.
Sure.
In that buffer zone, obviously it's wooded or there's vegetation.
Correct.
Is there any proposal for any sort of barrier on the hotel parking lot to that space or no? I'm just thinking that this board has had cases where there's been, you know, maybe not necessarily hotels, but there's people that decide to wander on other people's property when they shouldn't be, so. Right.
You took that, him.
We proposed some additional landscaping, but
Okay.
not a fence.
Okay.
We figured
Just curious. if-
yeah, it's a little bit higher, so the grade kind of drops
Okay.
a little bit there.
So
but-
it's more of a natural.
Yeah, more
area.
natural, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillmans. Anything else from the board? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Starr.
You're welcome. Whereas zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings: that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance relief sought, because several other properties have similar variances. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, because this solution reduces the total ground footprint.
Thank you.
That the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief sought is not substantial, and that the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions or in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the variance sought. That such height will not unduly shed out light or air to adjacent properties. And this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or district. But within the intended purpose of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief, and that the end. The end, and the end.
Okay, I'll second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
No.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Zilli.
Yes.
Ms. Monticelli.
Yes.
Grant.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting warmed up.
I can't, yeah.
Speak out about that one. People can show up and speak out.
I don't know, they're all, it's not that bad.
Okay, moving along. Case number 6, 5321 Genesee Street, Bowmansville. Mr. Hanover, would you read this case to us, please?
Sixth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is the petition of Patrick Bubb, Sacred Heart of Jesus RC Church, 5321 Genesee Street, for 2 variances for the purpose of installing a ground sign on premises owned by the Roman Catholic Church of Bowmansville at 5321 Genesee Street, Bowmansville, New York, to wit: A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 30, subsection F2C2A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a 6-foot tall ground sign 5 feet from the right-of-way. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 30, subsection F2C2A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a sign shall be no higher than 4 feet above finished grade. Petitioner therefore requests a 2-foot variance. B, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 30, subsection F2C2C, of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a 6-foot tall ground sign 5 feet from the right-of-way. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 30, subsection F2C2C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a sign shall not be located less than 25 feet from any adjacent business or industrial lot, or 50 feet from an adjacent residential lot, or 15 feet from the street right-of-way. The petitioner therefore requests a 10-foot variance.
Thank you. Do we have someone here for this matter? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Bubb, 43 MacArthur Drive, and I am a 25-year belonging to the church, and they asked me to come out here to petition a new sign that they received a grant for about a year ago, or within the last year, and with the grant, volunteers and donations, they'd like to put up a new LED / backlit sign on the premises. There's 2 variances we're requesting. One is a 5-foot variance from the right-of-way. The site has a 3-foot to 4-foot high stone fence all the way along the front, right along the right-of-way. And they have a lot of very large trees that would, if you follow the code, would not be seen from the road. So they're asking for that variance, and then if that variance is granted, they would, because it's so close to the right-of-way, they would need a 2-foot variance because they would like to maintain the 6-foot high, again, because of the stone fence that's along the road. Couple things to add. The LED lights are dimmable, so if needed, they can be dimmed down. They also can be timed on or off throughout the day or night. So if there's certain times of day or night that residents or people don't like it's too bright, we can adjust that. We are planning on removing, there are 3 existing signs that are along there that I believe are on the right-of-way and straddle the fence. We do plan on taking those down if we can put the new sign up. And I also have letters from local residents that I can share with the board. Thank you.
Okay, we're looking at a letter in support of the variance request signed by neighbors located at 5309 Genesee Street, Jacqueline and Jackson Bennett, and signed also by James and Victoria Moss at 5311 Genesee. Thank you for providing these.
You're welcome. Any questions? We did look at another alternative. There is an island, a turnaround. Based on the sight lines from going down Genesee Street, we felt it would be very hard to see when you're coming from the west heading east, because it'll be tight to the neighboring property, and there's quite a bit of vegetation there. Not to mention, it would be more costly to put it in that area because of power. There's power nearby where we're putting this, so it would be easier for the church to do it that way. So we did look at other alternatives. Unfortunately, we didn't think straddling the fence was a good idea like they've done in the past. So that's the other reason why we moved it down and tried to put it where the fence wasn't located and give traffic the opportunity to see it.
Okay. All right, questions from the board? Mr. Zelak.
I have no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So according to this drawing, it looks like the sign being placed here, there's the old existing sign here. This one's going to come out. The new sign's actually going a little bit farther at the back than where the existing one is.
Yes.
And you are removing the other signs that straddle the wall?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Mr. Mike
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
And Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair, I have no questions.
Okay, I just want to note that we also have an email from the owners of 5320 Genesee Street, William and Allison Zeeler, also supporting the request for a variance. Okay, let's open it up to the audience. Anyone have any questions or comments about this request? Okay, there being none, do we have a motion? I know, I'll do it. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance relief, not for a single-family residence. Do we need to skip that? Okay. All right, no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought, as the proposed sign replaces 3 others. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. And in fact, we have received 3 letters of support from 6 residents in agreement with granting this request.
Thank you.
That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. Noting that the petitioner has considered alternative placement, but the concern is that the sign would not be as visible to traffic coming from the west heading east on Genesee Street.
That the petitioner has looked at different areas of installation.
And determined that placement where no variance was required would reduce visibility of the sign.
Thank you.
To eastbound traffic on Genesee Street. That the requested area variance relief is not substantial. That the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. That this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief. Okay. All right. Second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Zulik. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Tillman.
Yes.
Mr. Zilek.
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Bob, your variance is granted. You just need to follow up with the building department. Good luck with this.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Okay, zipping right along here. The next matter before the board is request for a variance at 4781 Transit Road in Depew. Mr. Anova?
The seventh case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of the petition of Ryan Keeley of Flexloom, 1 Albright Court, Lackawanna, New York, for 2 variances for the purpose of installing a ground sign on premises owned by George Pepes, 4781 Transit Road, Depew, New York, to wit. A variance of the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning section 30, subsection F2C2A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a 5-foot 6-inch tall ground sign. Chapter 400, zoning section 30, subsection F2C2A of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires that a sign shall be no higher than 4 feet above average finished grade. The petitioner therefore requests a 1-foot 6-inch variance. B, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 30, subsection F2C2C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a ground sign 6 feet from the right-of-way. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 30, subsection F2C2C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires that a sign shall not be located less than 25 feet from any adjacent business or industrial lot, or 50 feet from an adjacent residential lot, or 15 feet from the street right-of-way. Petitioner therefore requests a 9-foot variance.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for listening to me tonight. So there are 2 issues here. One is the height of the sign, the other is the setback.
Oh, sorry, we need your name and address.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Ryan Kiley, Flexloom Sign Company, 1 Albright Court in Lackawanna.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Reynolds, also with Flexloom, 1 Albright Court.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead,
Yes.
please.
So in terms of the height variance, this is located on a section of Transit Road where there's a lot of signs. You don't want it to be overdone, but you need your sign to be visible. If you're coming from the south with the trees and that fuel canopy for Tops, you can't really see the building itself. And there also that Tops Fuel has, I think, a few signs already in the area that could cause visual issues with the height of the sign. So that's why we're proposing it being a little bit higher than usual, than allowed. It also helps from the other direction, because then you're fighting, at least 2 lanes of traffic visually to see the sign against. Transit Road is busy. You want to be able to keep the flow of traffic going. So more visibility means better flow of traffic, less accidents, everything there. In terms of the setback, we're looking at somewhere between 6 to 10 feet. We're asking for 6 feet because when you go to put the sign in, you have to call an underground. If there are utilities in the way and we want to move it one way or the other, we just want to have that leeway in case that is the case. The plan is to more center it between the sidewalk and the parking lot towards the back, but just so we're able to pivot and not have to come back after the fact or delay the installation and come back and ask for another variance or anything. Was why we wanted to start with the 6 feet, but in mind that it would probably be closer to 10. And again, that's just visibility because there's a lot going on there. The closer it is to the road, the better you can see it. A little farther north on Transit Road is NBT Bank. Their sign is about 10 feet tall and probably about the 5 to 6 feet from the sidewalk also. So that's one comparison, really the biggest one. The other ones seem pretty similar, if not in code on that. It's on that side of the Transit Road. I know the other side isn't Lancaster, so that doesn't really apply. Did you have anything to add? So if anyone has any questions?
Okay, and this is, just to verify, this is Bank on Buffalo.
Yes, Bank on Buffalo.
All right, and this is in the Tops Plaza and Transit.
Yeah, that,
Foot of loss.
yeah, whatever you want to consider, if it's part of the Tops Plaza or that other building that was torn down is in construction right now.
Yeah, the Forest View
Yeah,
restaurant.
exactly.
Okay. I think we're back to Mr. Hain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Mr. Michaely?
Thank you, I have no questions.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A comment that stuck out, talking about competing for visibility among transit with the businesses and everything. Wasn't it just you, like 2.5, 3 years ago, that they were all complaining about that your building is stopping visibility from all their buildings?
No, that was behind, that was the plaza behind. That was when this was being built.
Yeah, wasn't it the bank and that building?
No,
No.
they're referring.
The
No,
Forest
that was
View.
the people who owned behind.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
No questions then.
Okay.
Oh, it was there, wasn't it?
It was there.
It was there, but it wasn't that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have more of a question for Matt. Matt made a good point with underground being possibly in the way. Do you know anything, is that common to have to move? If we granted him 6 feet and he needed to go 8 feet?
I think that's the purpose of the setback requirements.
Yeah. Okay.
Visual, pulling out onto the transit road, utility easements.
All right, no further questions. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Zelak. I have no questions at the moment. Anyone in the audience who would like to address this? There being none, do we have a motion?
I'll do it.
Motion, Mr. Michaely.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings: that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought, as the sign would be similar in size and location to many nearby properties.
Thank you.
That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief is not substantial. That the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board has taken into consideration the benefit of the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant, that within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief. The end.
Gotta add that now. Okay, motion, Mr. Michaely.
Second.
Second, Mr. Matthews. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
I'm abstaining from the vote because I work for a competitor bank.
Mr. Zelik.
Yes.
And Ms. Monticelli.
Yes. Okay, your variance is granted, and follow up with the building department. You're good to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. The eighth matter for the zoning board tonight is a property at 19 Ellie Court in Lancaster. Will you read the case, please?
The eighth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of petition of Tyler and Erica Batten, 19 Ellie Court, Lancaster, New York, for two variances for the purpose of constructing a residential accessory structure on premises owned by the petitioners at 19 Ellie Court, Lancaster, New York, to wit: A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a residential accessory 17 feet tall. Chapter 400, zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum building height of 16 feet. Petitioners therefore request a 1-foot variance. B, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 1,152 square foot residential accessory. Chapter 400, zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum accessory structure size of 750 square feet. The petitioners therefore request a 402 square foot variance.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for Ellie Court?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, all. Tyler and Erica Batten for 19 Ellie.
Okay, please tell us about your proposed project.
The project we'd like to build is an accessory storage pole building in the back section of our property. With the amount of land we have, granted not a whole lot, 3 acres, but 2/3 of it is heavily wooded, so the amount of equipment that we're kind of amassing to be stewards of the land, it's getting a little much for the garage. We'd like to keep using that for the winter because it has a drain for the snow, which is quite nice. And I did inherit a late grandfather's classic car last October, which is currently in my garage. So another thing that I'd like not there anymore. It's set quite far back in my property, and we're at a end of a cul-de-sac, so visibly as you drive by, it's a very, very small sliver. You're barely going to see the front of it, and it is surrounded by mature birch trees. So my immediate neighbors, I've submitted letters. I didn't have extra copies. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was something. But they're in the application. The immediate neighbors are on board with this, and I personally almost can't even see it from my kitchen window. It's nicely just tucked back. And like I said, they're pie shapes. So the closest I'll get to my neighbor is 20 feet from one corner to our property line, and it's at an angle.
Okay, we do have letters from Patrick Utag at 15 Ellie Court and Arthur Uglink at 19 Ellie Court. Arthur and Sally Uglink.
So with 15, a similar variance was granted in 2023 for his building, which is arguably probably twice the size of mine. It's the only thing I have to go off of to compare, but.
Okay, is that it for now?
That's it for now, yes.
Okay, turn it over to Mr. Matthews to start us off.
Appreciate you getting the letters of support. I have no further questions.
Mr. Michaeli?
Thank you, Madam Chair, I have no questions.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are you putting any sort of driveway into the back there, like stone?
I am not
Nothing?
currently, and if I do, I don't want to disturb my lawn, and we slope a little bit to the side, and as it comes up, if it becomes an issue, I might do drivable pavers, so my lawn still grows, but not in the visible part of my lawn, second half of it. But my assumption is that if I need to move the classic car, it's a 46 Ford, it's not running right now, not registered yet, but it would be moved in, put to bed for the winter. So it's not going to be used as a driveway. We've got a very nice long driveway, big garage.
Okay.
I don't need to be driving vehicles in there like a second garage would be in trashing my lawn.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Selak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Thank you. Okay, and I have none either. So anyone in the audience? There being none, do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Tillmans, thank you.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence, according to part 617.5 C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations, is a type 2 action, and has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore it is not subject to a secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought, as similar structures are located in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief is not substantial. That the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. This board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief. That no commercial enterprise other than those permitted by Chapter 400 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster be conducted on the premises.
Thank you. Motion, Mr. Tillmans. Do we have a second, Mr. Storr?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Michaeli?
Yes.
Mr. Storr?
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans?
Yes.
Mr. Zeller?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes. Okay, congratulations. You can go right ahead with your project. Just contact the building department for further direction.
Thank you all and good evening.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome. Have a good night. The next matter before the board is regarding property at 93 Michael's Walk. Would you read the case to us, please?
The ninth case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of the petition of Eric and Chelsea Pelkey, 93 Michael's Walk, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of extending an existing driveway and parking area on premises owned by the petitioners at 93 Michael's Walk, to wit, a variance for the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for extending an existing driveway and parking area to the side property line. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum of 5 feet per side and rear yard for parking, loading, and stacking areas abutting a residential district. The petitioners therefore request a variance of 5 feet.
Thank you. Do we have someone from Michael's Walk?
Eric Pelkey, 93 Michael's Walk, Lancaster.
Thank you, go ahead.
I'm just requesting a 5-foot variance with extending my driveway we moved into the home October of 2023. So a little background about myself and that home. I would like to extend the driveway for parking purposes as I do have more so financial at this point, but I do have 3 young children, and so I am thinking ahead. So I am thinking of a financial standpoint. Also, with the 5-foot variance, if I was not granted, I would only have maybe 3 foot based on my survey around the corner of the house for any type of concrete work if I wanted to utilize that space. As far as my kids' safety, they do like to play with chalk and in the driveway and things, and we do have some young drivers in my neighborhood that speed around that corner there. As you can see, I do live on a bend, so visibility can be slightly skewed when going around that corner. So I would be able to create a more safe barrier for my children to play on the side there. I was looking to extend it. I don't really know how to describe this. Do you guys have that survey? Mm-hmm. Okay, so 14.82, I was looking to extend it to where that 7 is right there. So then I would be able to, where that 5.07 mark is, I was planning to put like garbage cans and things to free up space in my garage just for aesthetic and reasons. You know, my main entrance to my house that I use is through my garage. So it's more for practicality use from my standpoint. I'm just thinking ahead.
So the 5.7 number is it's hard to say, it's to the right of the driveway? I don't know if it's east-west because it turns there.
It'd be to the left of it. So the 5.07 is my home.
Because the way it appears on the way you drew it on the survey, it looks like you're going from the side of your driveway all the way to your property line?
Yes.
All the way from the front, all the way to that back of the house by that?
Correct. Yeah, I was looking to, sorry, I should have clarified. Yes, I am looking to extend it from, I'm not going to mess with the skirt, but I am going to be going from the road for a wider driveway, essentially, not messing with any of the town's property, and then up. Maybe I'm not explaining it very well.
If I'm looking at the image and the drawing correctly, are you going to be doing this like right after the bend so that way you're not going to disturb the manhole cover right up front?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so the natural bend that's there, you're going to take that right to the property line, all the way back to the back end of your house?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
With the back end of the house, more so an area for my kids to play and keep away from the
my question was more about with the drawing makes it seem like you're going right from the sidewalk straight back, and I was like, there's this manhole cover right there. So that was my...
They do have the ability to go around the manhole. I have talked with the construction company about that, and I have seen that around the neighborhood.
Okay, my thought was, like, this is the front of your house.
Correct.
My understanding, are you taking this, like, following that loop to the property line, or are you just going, like, straight there?
No, it would be angled.
Like following this?
Yeah, I would bend it here and then work my way up.
Okay.
For the record, my neighbor is here.
Yeah, sorry, questions, but...
She's in attendance.
All right, further questions. All right, skip that.
Good, strike while the iron is hot. Okay, anything else you want to tell us about it?
No, just more space with concrete, yeah.
Alrighty.
My next.
Mr. Michaely.
Thank you. You lost me when you said it's for the kids to play in the driveway?
One of the reasons, yeah, so I can create a barrier more so for my kids on the side of the house versus being in the front of my driveway.
Okay. And in essence, you're creating a sidewalk, a walkway, going to the backyard, connecting it to the backyard, so you can walk in.
Do I plan to?
No, that's in essence, because it's going to go all along the side of the house?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, in essence, what you would be doing is creating a walkway.
Yes,
To the
correct.
back of the yard.
Yes, correct.
Did you speak to the neighbor next door?
I did. She did show support when I spoke with her.
Okay, we'll hear from her after. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mickley. And Mr. Storr.
You are the nicest neighbor in the world to sit here for 2 hours.
Well, I do, my only concern that I talked with Eric was from a drainage perspective, right? I want to make sure that when we do this, that if, like, do we need different drainage?
Why don't we wait till, you'll have your turn after, yeah, but you'll come up
Okay.
when he's
So I
done.
just
So,
didn't
yeah,
want to,
yeah.
like, I'm sitting here
So-
really. That's all.
So, Matt, I have a question. Will this affect the drainage in the area?
Well, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we have that setback requirement, is to maintain any existing swales that are there. I do have an inquiry out to our highway department, because it appears that there's a public system along the southern boundary of the subdivision that doesn't appear to be operating. I've even inquired again tonight, so we can get some visual inspection of the pipe back there. But I can say with this property, the applicant's property, they call that an A grade, meaning from the backyard, everything grades towards the road. And all the surface flow runs in that direction. And even to his neighbor to the north, which would be standing at the road looking at his house, the guy on the left side, right? I'm assuming you're on the right side, on the driveway side?
Looking at the home or the other?
Looking at the home?
I'm on his right side.
Right side, okay. I apologize for not giving you the call the other day. But that lot is called a B grade. So half and half, right. At the house, it goes to the road, but the back of the house goes towards the back of the lot to a drain that may not be working. Regardless, this drain has to work, so.
The one by the shed or the one in the middle of
The
the
one that's going to be at the common rear lot line between the two ownerships.
When you say it's not working, how do you know?
There's been,
Yeah, there's.
in discussion, doing all the projects here, it's wet back there.
Yeah, like during heavy snowfall, or snow melt and heavy rain, it does flood back there. Like, right by, I do own 1.03 acres, but the majority of that is wooded area. And right along that tree line, where heavy snow melt and rainfall, it does pool there. Ponds up there, which is part of the drainage from the town's perspective. Regarding where the driveway would be going, it does stay bone dry. I did bring that up to the construction company, and I did show him, I don't know the name of the graph that you gave.
The grading plan?
The grading plan. I did show the Zula Construction that plan. He is aware of it, and he has a couple ideas that we can do with pitching of the driveway and everything towards the road where it should be. So he is aware of it. He took a picture of it, and he understands the assignment.
I know our variance is in regards to the distance to her house. Can we put an addendum or something that says that it needs to be built to the grade specified by the grade map or something?
That's something that Matt would make sure
It
happens.
would have to happen regardless. It just could not cause a blockage of existing flow.
With
You
his
can
being,
copy
with
out.
his being a grade flowing, of his flow going to the northeast, and the one next to it being, it goes northeast and then south, do you believe this would cause a blockage?
Hard to say, because I'm looking at a plan that was devised 20 plus 30 years ago. Whether or not those are the existing conditions today, beyond me.
Plus a drain that is in questionable
Plus,
operation.
right.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Which if the drain is blocked, they would get that fixed.
They'd have to open it.
They would have to open it up, and we would have
That's the town's responsibility.
active drainage in the back there.
Mr. Tillmans?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hain.
I just want to understand this project correctly.
Sure.
From the side of your driveway and the side of your house, all the way to your property line?
Yes.
Okay. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hain. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
So, you need a variance for the start of the project, the start of the driveway, right?
Correct.
And you have talked to your neighbor, and we're going to hear from her, is that correct?
Correct.
So I'm looking at the driveway going all the way back to the rear of the house, and the width extends as you go back.
Yeah, it's a weird lot.
If you want to put it on your and your neighbor's property line, you would need that variance. But then as it continues on, the proposed driveway is getting wider and wider. Do you really need to be on the property line when you were going back and the concrete is widening?
I mean, I guess I don't, but it would just, I guess, would be preferred, one of those more space, more concrete, more.
I wouldn't want this next to my house. You know, if it could be moved over 5 feet back there, I think that would be preferable, but that's my opinion. And that's really all I have. Anybody else on the board want to revisit?
I mean,
Okay.
I'm open. It's not like a hard set fast. Like I need it to the, you know, as it extends and gets wider. Because you know, my wife and I had discussed that.
Okay.
But it's not like a dead fast, like.
Okay, so you'd be willing to
Hard rule, yeah. I mean,
make some compromise?
I'm a pretty easygoing guy.
All right. If you want to have a seat, we'll ask your neighbor to come up.
Sure.
Hi, just give us your name and address, please.
Kristen Druzwicki, 95 Michael's Walk.
Okay.
My only concern really with this is from a drainage perspective. As Eric said, we do have a lot of water. At points during the year, it is pretty much a running creek through our backyards. And the water does, so there is a swell, I think is the word you use. I would just call it a dip between our homes. That does, you know, that's where the water goes. And I want to make sure with the project that it just doesn't all then run into my foundation.
Fair enough.
And I'm not an expert to know whether it would or not, so.
All right, thank you. Sure. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Okay, anything else you want to add?
No, that is all.
Anything else from the board?
So that, I was gonna say, that swell or that dip, whose property is that on? Or is that like smack dab in the middle of the two properties?
Well, based on the design grading, right, you have on one side of the line is going this way, the other side of the line is going that way. You can only imagine that it would be on the adjoining parcel this way.
So it's gonna hit like a brick wall, right?
Right.
Okay.
So, and again, the as-bills were an as-built topography survey was never required in the 90s and the 2000s, and it was only until after we received excessive amounts of drainage issues and brand new construction, we made that a requirement to ACA to provide a topography survey. And it's right off the assembly line.
So let me ask you, which side of the swell are you paving?
If you're looking at my home to the left.
Your side of the swell. So wherever you do this, the swell will still be on the other side. Will you be impacting the swell?
Will I be?
Will you be impacting? Will you be With this, it's called a driveway or walkway, whatever it's going to be in what is now the swell?
No, it would be slightly to the left of it.
How far? A few feet? 1 foot? 10
Probably,
feet?
maybe a foot.
So if it's not in the swell, I mean, is it fair to say that this shouldn't impact? If the swell is not being impacted, that drainage should?
It should work.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
And anything from the board? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Stewart.
Whereas zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence according to part C, 617.5 C17 of the New York State Codes Rules and Regulations is a type 2 action, has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore it is not subject to seeker review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of that variance sought. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, because I believe this variance will not affect the drainage.
Thank you.
That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief is not substantial. That the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect on or impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. This board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the area variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intents and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum of variance necessary to afford relief. The end.
Second.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Michaeli. Roll call vote.
Mr. Hain.
No.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaeli.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
No.
Mr. Zelak.
Yes.
And Chairman Monticelli.
No,
It's granted.
it's passed. Just like that. Okay, your variance is granted, and just follow up with the building department.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night. Okay, is there anyone here tonight from 45 Lake Forest Parkway? The gentleman in back. Come on up.
Oh, I'm from Dex Limited Construction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For that.
You're representing. Yeah, okay.
I have to read the legal.
Legal notice.
Yes.
The 10th case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of petition of Dex Unlimited Construction, 11595 Genesee Street, Alden, New York, for one variance for the purpose of continuing construction of a rear patio roof on premises owned by Suzanne Smazniak at 45 Lake Forest Parkway, Lancaster, New York, to wit. A variance in the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for continuing construction of a rear patio roof, 7 feet 6 inches from an existing in-ground pool. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum location of 10 feet from another structure. The petitioner therefore requests a 2-foot 6-inch variance.
Thank you. Okay, will you give us your name and address, please?
Yes, I'm Brian Arcara. I'm with Dex Limited Construction. It's 11595 Genesee Street.
Thank you. And I would just note for the record that we do have a letter from the homeowner giving Dex Unlimited permission to represent her tonight in this matter. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so we're asking for a 2.5-foot variance from our patio roof we built to existing in-ground pool. Before we started this project, there was an existing deck, and our layout for our deck and our roof is same dimensions. We had our engineer draw up our plans, have them stamped, and hand them into the town, and a permit was approved to start building. It wasn't until our rough frame inspection where the on-site inspector came out and noticed that the previous deck that was built never got permitted. But on the drawings we handed in, we also had the pool on the drawings that were stamped and approved for a permit. So we began building, and we were given okay by one of the inspectors to continue building that roof. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with this project. I'm here for our operations manager, John McCarthy, who is currently having a baby right now with his wife, so I was just called short notice to come represent the company, so.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that.
I'm sorry, can you give me your name again?
It's Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Arcara, A-R-C-A-R-A.
Thank you.
Okay, questions from the board, beginning with Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Timmons?
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, so you're basically replacing a deck that was there.
Correct.
Started building, permitted to do it, and then things happen. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Timmons. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Zelak. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
And Mr. Michael Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Okay, thank you all. And observing there is no one in the audience, we will move. Oh, I'm sorry, there is someone.
Just a point of clarification of this narrative. On June 17, 2025, this application was reviewed for building permit to replace the deck with a roof. The plans for the deck and the roof were stamped by an architect, but the plot plan that was provided omitted the existing in-ground swimming pool. And that's how the plans were issued in compliance with the zoning code. And on the inspection by our site inspector, found that the structures were too close to each other. And in the bantering back and forth since June, we ended up providing a non-compliance form which had not been submitted to the clerk for the July meeting or the August meeting. And upon the final inspection request, it was denied because we need to get variance to allow the permit to stand. Again, as it was mentioned, the deck was installed without the building permit by the same contractor 20 some odd years ago. And obviously it was too close to the pool 20 some odd years ago. So a recommendation to Decks Unlimited in future submittals, a complete submittal that's going to include a full plot plan with dimensions from all existing improvements on the property to avoid these sorts of things.
That sounds like a good advice. And do you have, I know you're kind of new to this, do you have any questions about what our building inspector just said?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Good clarification.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Okay, I'll do it as soon as I find the findings. Thank you, Mr. Mackley. Okay. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Lancaster has made the following findings. That this area variance relief, that this area variance for a single-family residence, according to Part 617.5 C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations, is a Type 2 action and has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment. Therefore, it is not subject to a seeker review, that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested area variance relief is not substantial, that the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief.
Second.
Second, Mr. Michaeli. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaeli.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
No.
Mr. Tillman.
No.
Mr. Zalek.
No.
Ms. Monticelli.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, the homeowner's petition is granted, and you or your colleague can follow up with the building department.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
It is 9:25.
9:25. All right, does anyone have any business they'd like to bring up before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Storr. I'll second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Been waiting all night to do that.
The end.
The end.